morning, ladies and gentlemen. How's it going? Welcome to RealTuners Radio, episode number 104. It's Wednesday, November 13th, 2019, and we are just going to cover some current events tonight. So, that being said, hopefully you can hear me. Sorry if the mix isn't great, because I'm doing this live on the fly tonight. Oh, there's just some current events we wanted to kind of cover, but I'll let you go ahead and listen to the music while everybody else gets prepared here. Anyway, thanks everybody for tuning in. It's been a couple of long weeks with different guests, so tonight we're just going to chill out, take questions from the audience. So enjoy the jam while we get ready to go here on this end. And there we go. We are back and live. What's going on? So, boy, heated debates on what is and isn't a streetcar. Every time one of these guys, Larry Larson, Andy Frost, Lutz, Bailey, whoever, every time one of those guys does something, man, do the streetcar debates heat up. I mean, I'm going to unmute these guys, and I bet you they are fighting about what a streetcar is right now. Gentlemen, what's going on?
We're sitting here quietly, actually.
Now they're
ring the bell. Let's get it started.
Scott screwed up that mix.
We are discussing what is the bourbon du jour. So I guess we can talk about.
Bill was just asking about what our intro music was.
Yeah,
I was actually reading Bill's comment. It says "bean vidos" or "bean venidos" or what's that mean?
Bienvenidos,
Bienvenidos.
amigos. We have many
Bienvenidos.
listeners in countries that are Spanish speaking, and I thought we ought to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
You know, we got guys, running the Puerto Rican street racing
Okay, but I still don't know what it means. Does it mean hello or what?
It means welcome, friends.
Greetings.
Greetings. Yeah. Greetings, welcomes. Bienvenidos, amigos.
We like them, or they like us, or
Yeah, we like them. They like us, and we're happy to have them here. So it's all cool.
Right. Joseph Butts. Yes, let the streetcar shite storm begin. And whoever's cracking on eating fucking, it's got to be Bewley.
Nope, not me, damn it.
Okay.
Both hands on my cell phone, not holding anything in, not opening any packaging or anything. So
Evans, you started the meeting
my
tonight.
white ass.
Better get started.
So if I open some, it sounds more like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's the best sound in the world.
Yes.
Hold on a second. My turn.
All
There
right.
it is.
Oh, wow.
Bill Tetro. Yes, it is probably Mike Will.
he's upset with me right now. He's a little in his feelings at the moment.
What did you do to hurt Will's feelings, Mike?
Well, the problem is he's un-American. See, I'm a American, and when I eat my apple pie, I like a nice slice of cheddar cheese on top of my apple pie.
What?
Okay,
That's messed
he. Is
What
the
makes you think that's
Apple pie and vanilla ice cream. I don't even like vanilla ice cream, and I know it's got to be vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, I'm on Will's side.
What is wrong? Who eats ice cream on apple pie? What is wrong with you people?
Hey,
Who in
man.
the hell
Don't
is
put
cheddar cheese on it?
apple pie. What? That's the first. I've never heard of that. That's like some prison food shit.
No, that shit's amazing. Is what it is.
You're
Prison food
weird.
Wow.
shit. No, that's when you
Wow.
put a slab
That's
of
some
cheese on your
Puerto Rican shit. McMaster taught you that,
ramen
didn't
noodles.
Oh,
Didn't
ramen
Tetro- didn't
noodles
Mike-
on apple pie? Did you just say that out loud? That cannot be
Didn't
a thing.
Tetro put a freaking? Didn't he put Mark Mickey on the trailer last weekend?
He did
Oh,
put
what-
Mark Mickey. Well, he beat Mark Mickey in testing at World Street Nationals. I'm just gonna go on. So speaking of
Boom.
streetcar, Will Tetro's car, full-on street car, 17 gallons of fuel on board, power windows, drive it anywhere. Beat Mark Mickey only to get put on the trailer by Marcus Burt. That's all I'm going to say. I mean, that's saying something for a street.
All right. Now, you said full-on streetcar, so we heard power windows. We heard a full tank of gas, which was something like 16 gallons.
Yep.
What else is it? Because I just want to say
Only pump
something.
fuel,
A good
can't
friend
come
of
out a
mine,
drum.
a good friend of mine who is currently, how do I say this politely? Serving our country in a different way in a federal facility, said to me once that a streetcar is something where when you roll down the road, you can pick up an 8-ball and hookers, no problem. That's a streetcar.
It's
One
got
of our
power
friends
windows
said
and
that.
Oh shit!
So,
So,
has air
really?
conditioning.
If you can cruise around and pick
Your
and pick
definition of
balls and
streetcar.
hookers. Yeah.
Maybe we
Hey,
should all go
I
around
think
and give
that-
our definition of a streetcar. Well, hold on. Let me kick this off. Let's back it up just a second. So first, and I got to drop a congratulations because I actually met this guy, not related to the fact that some of us are all involved in this whole let's go fives in a quote unquote streetcar thing, but Andy Frost over in the UK, what a fellow. Just cracked off. Well, he became a member of the 5 Second Club about 24 hours ago. They're over in Bahrain right now, or Bahrain. But so far on his third try, he went a 5.925 at 262.64 mile per hour, which that 262 number is smashing the street legal, street driven car record. And I'll say this, we're all going to fight to the death here over what a street car is, but that car weighs 3,040 pounds. It's got defrost. It's got its radiator still. It is a wet block. It's dry deck heads, I believe, but correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Frost. Hopefully he's listening. I know some of his crew are listening because they are just damn good fellows. But for me personally, huge effing congrats to Mr. Frost. I actually, this is pretty cool. I met him when I was working tech support for the guys at Blueprint Crate Engines. They had sent over a bunch of crate motors and stuff like that, and he was a transmission guy, and he was mating some of these up and to the engines. For some reason, I had to stay at late one night and take a tech support call, and it was Andy Frost. And I got to talk to this cat, and this is before I was involved. This is 2 years before I was involved with the Larry Larson project with the pickup truck that ended up, ultimately the pickup truck took Mr. Frost's record, and the UK took it away from the UK and brought it to the United States when he ran a 6:16 with a 3 in 2014 at Tulsa, the last day of drag week. So it was interesting, and Mr. Frost was always just very upstanding, the way I guess most of the British are. A neat guy, not a shit talker at all. Wasn't happy about some of the comments made in Hot Rod Magazine, and frankly, neither was I. I was a bigger dick about it though. But he busted his ass for 5 years straight since that point, and to get where he's at now. And it's interesting. Everyone will argue one guy might have an advantage over others. For example, Frost doesn't have to go to drag week over there, and everybody's like, oh, well, it didn't do drag week. It just drives a couple miles. It's not really a streetcar. I call bullshit, because Andy had to do the MOT test. He literally had to take that car down and do like braking and handling testing, noise decibel testing. The thing runs through full exhaust as it sits right now at the track. It's quiet as can be. All kinds of just cool and interesting stuff.
Isn't like all of England the size of like Minnesota,
New Hampshire, or something like that? Yeah, I don't know. It's not huge, but it's anyway. I mean, so he had to drive the thing, and he did it in twin turbo big block configuration. He didn't do the switcheroo. Some of his guys argue, Larson went to drag week and switched the car over to a race truck or whatever. Well, no, we had drag week rules to follow, because in this country, you aren't crap if you don't do drag week, which I disagree with. Frankly, Rod Sabury started this stuff back in the day before there was a drag week. These guys in the early 90s were doing this. Hey, I'm going to get a car tagged, licensed, turn signals, pass whatever my local test is. And here in the States, it depends. Some of the states are harder than the UK to get a license in. Some of the states are easier, like where Larry lives in Missouri was much easier to get the truck licensed. We just had to bring a VIN number down to the to the license branch or whatever. And interestingly enough, I remember Larson came back and said, you know, not only did I get tags, no problem, but they gave me a break on my property tax or on the wheel tax because it's a flex fueled vehicle. I told them it could run on E85 if I wanted to, and methanol, multi-fuel vehicle. So they gave me a break on that. Isn't that hilarious?
Your
so,
political system at work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, my point is we all had some of our challenges. I mean, Larry's challenge was to be accepted over here. He's got to drive the damn thing 1,200 miles during drag week and get the thing done. I mean, not only did that, he did a drag week and like 2 or 3 Rocky Mountain race weeks with it. So, you know, I mean, everybody has their series of challenges. We had to carry on Larry's truck all the tools and everything we were going to work with in a trailer that had to be pulled by the vehicle. Well, Andy and team, to get on a track that'll work, they have to put everything in a goddamn container ship and ship it via, you know, through customs to get it to Bahrain. They gotta put everything they're gonna work on the car with in a container. I mean, that's a huge challenge and a great expense. Probably as expensive or more than
like
going to drag
the
week.
Aussie guys bringing cars to drag week.
I guess so. They're doubly, you know, crazy. But anyway, so now everybody's gonna argue like a motherfucker about what's a streetcar and what's not a streetcar.
Before we argue and before we take anything from this man, can we all agree that going 5 anything, I don't care if it's a pro mod, is a statement that's going out and doing work? Like he has accomplished a goal that none of us probably ever will.
Absolutely agree
with that.
Yep.
Yeah, because
only
everybody here on the call who has a 5-second car, raise your hand.
Exactly.
It got really quiet.
Do I count 5 seconds in the 8th?
Yeah. Even
I had one, but didn't end up good last pass.
All right, Dan,
actually, you know what? Dan Parker's been
Dan?
5s, hasn't he? Yeah.
Dan Parker, yeah, baby.
The only guy on here that's been
I
5s
never
is
made a
blind.
5-second. Yeah. I never made
That's awesome.
an official 5-second pass, but I definitely had fast enough 8-mile time to go 5s.
Gotcha. Yeah. Right. You never were doing quarter miles. You were racing 8th mile, weren't you?
Yeah, the fastest I went in the quarter, we had a 7:06 and 05, and Bill always knew I wanted to go to an IHR national event qualify. So my first national event, I went 6:33 at 221 with a 7:06 at 2,450 pounds.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
back
but
when
you
I
had
was
plenty of
fast.
8th mile
Long
passes.
time
What was
ago.
your best? What was your best 8th mile pass? Fastest 8th mile.
397. Yeah, 397.
See, Frost
Yeah.
went a 4.0, went a 4 flat, so you went fast enough to go. There's your 5-second pass right there. Frosty's car is heavy at 30-40 pounds. They insist on keeping it in
That's
that trim.
amazing. 3,000 pounds, 262 miles an hour. That is amazing.
That works out to like 4,500 flywheel horsepower right now as it sits.
I
So
remember when top
that's a
fuel
lot of
cars weren't
horsepower.
going 260.
Yeah. So
Damn,
anyway, shout out to Frosty and team, man. And those guys are some classy mofos. Love those guys. So
The live
of
feed,
course, now
everyone loves your incarcerated buddy's description of picking up hookers and blow for a streetcar.
right. That's all it takes, man, to be a real tuner.
No, I'll tell you what. I think a real streetcar is one that you can drive into the gas station, fill it up with gas, and drive it wherever you want to go. You know, it could be E85, it could be E10, it could be 91. I don't care what you're filling it up with, but I think if it's a streetcar, you have to be able to pull into the gas station, fill it up, and drive it somewhere. That's my only stipulation.
Mark, does that count if the gas station is one of those stations near a racetrack that has race fuel at the pump?
There's a couple.
I
of
mean,
those
I've
out there.
seen him one at a pump on an island in front of a
So have
store.
I. Yep.
I guess in my mind, it included being able to go from gas station to gas station and actually make a journey somewhere, not just keep circling the block.
Not
going
just
from
around
gas
town.
station.
You mean take
Yeah.
an actual trip across the country, fill it up at any pump and go is your
Well,
definition?
or like maybe to the next town over. You know,
Well, driving through New England, then that takes ED5 out of the equation.
Right.
That becomes.
well, it depends on where you live.
Fuels will avail. Yep, exactly.
Yeah,
Are
it
available.
Yeah, but I
Depends-
mean, what if your
depends
car
on where
run on
you live.
E85? It'll run on pump gas. I'll tell you what, Larson's truck, we put 87 octane in that thing because we were cheap bastards for the highway cruises for drag week. But the thing's a
And
9
that-
to
Yeah.
1
Might just need a
compressor.
little tweak
Nobody-
to the tune.
Well, I shouldn't say there's nobody, but I was going to say nobody can dispute that Larry's truck is a streetcar because, I mean, you can put a trailer behind the thing, drive it 1,000 miles on the street, go to 5 different racetracks. To me, that's definitely a streetcar.
Yeah, some
And
people
that
argue, though, that
trailer
because he
fully
changes
loaded.
parts.
That trailer fully loaded may have violated most of the trailer laws, but I'm not saying anything. But if you saw how heavy that son of a bitch was,
It ended up being like 2,600 pounds.
Legal and what we consider a streetcar.
yeah,
We were
that's my
guessing
point.
2,600 pounds was the weight of that trailer.
None of these cars we're talking about would pass EPA, DOT laws anywhere.
No, let's keep legalities out of it because
Yeah,
some of the
exactly.
laws written. Yes, no.
That's just paperwork. Yeah, that's just
Yep.
paperwork.
They wouldn't
Yeah.
pass
Some
the
of us
federal
live-
rules, but yeah.
Some of us live in states where that shit doesn't even matter because there's no such thing as a state inspection, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, it's still legal.
Right.
You're just not getting checked for it.
And
What do you
some
mean?
of us
What
live
makes,
in
it,
state.
what makes it illegal?
Now, hang on.
I mean,
what makes it
literally
illegal
in
is
the
federal
state of
law.
Kentucky-
Federal law
What,
makes it
what
illegal.
about federal law? What?
The federal
What
law
about
will
it?
make it illegal. There's all kinds of things that won't pass for federal laws. So it's not illegal in the state of Kentucky, but it's illegal on the highway that it's on in Kentucky. You know what I mean?
Well,
As long as
technically,
you're not
to
on an
Kentucky,
interstate.
They just
Well,
don't catch it.
the difference is it's like pissing on a sidewalk in California. You know what I mean? It's illegal. It's just they don't force it. That's the
Right.
difference.
Actually, in California, they just hire someone to clean it up. They don't even bother to try and enforce it.
On the other hand, if you drive a vehicle that has had alterations to its emissions after 1975, they are enforcing those things, and
Right.
you have to take your post 75 car through a 2-year, 5-year, depending upon what you've got, and get it checked out. And if you've got violations on the emissions equipment, you have a problem. Depending upon, well, I won't say what's depending upon because I'm going to get myself in trouble. But the bottom line is, I know a guy whose car is registered in a northern county in California because they don't do annual smog in some counties. And
I don't know.
car might not be emissions compliant in the other ones where they check that sort of stuff. Just saying.
I know,
Yeah.
in Ohio, a local cop can write you a ticket for not having a catalytic converter if they want to.
Yeah.
Oh, Florida,
state
we
law
have
there
no
says you can
inspections.
have
I
it.
still had a cop look under my
Yeah.
truck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we don't have emissions.
your vehicle
but it's still
still. Yeah, your vehicle may pass in your local state or in your local area, but if you go to another state and you get pulled over, that person who pulls you over can legally write you a ticket and write you a fine for not being compliant with that state's laws, because that's part of what you sign up for with your driver's license is that you will comply with all state laws, not just things local to you.
Okay, that's understandable, but one thing you're missing here is things like cars like Bailey's and like the truck and things of that nature. In the state of Kentucky, I can get that vehicle registered as a special construction. Okay, it can be, I can call it the Bewley Special. That can be the model of the vehicle, no matter what
Sure.
body's on it,
Like a
and
kit
it
built.
doesn't even
Right.
have to have a VIN. In the state of Kentucky, I could take literally an NHRA Pro Stock car, and if it's got the safety equipment and it can pass a sheriff's inspection, they'll put a tag on it. I can drive it on the street.
I have sent you a PM
Absolutely.
for the Bewley special.
But if you go to California with that vehicle, they can legally impound it.
But
No,
there's
they
a difference
can't.
be- There's a big difference between.
They can't deny my vehicle based on out of state laws.
Oh, yes, they absolutely can.
That's something
Yes, they
that-
can.
that is-
Yes, they can.
Again, there's a big
Yes, they
difference
can.
between tagged and legal. Two completely different things.
There's a reason why all of the race teams, everyone had to shorten their semi trucks to go into California the last couple of years because what's legal here is not legal there. And
No,
However,
they were doing that shit because they were over 53 foot on the trailer.
what
They were
Bewley is
fucking
saying,
it over like they were 55 to 57 feet.
what Bewley
And
is saying
anything over
is
55, anything over 55 is not legal on the interstate system.
what Bewley is saying is that special construction bypasses the other laws because you're not modifying or changing anything that was a emissions controlled vehicle, because it's not an emissions controlled vehicle, it's a special production vehicle.
But
so
in some states,
here
there's
in
more to it
Mass,
than that. Yes.
Yeah, here
ahead.
in Mass, you can do special construction, but if you have to prove where the engine came from, and if that
Yep.
engine had emissions on it, you have to put all that on.
Yep. And believe it
Listen,
or
we
not,
don't
North
test for
Dakota
any-
is stiff about that. Yeah.
In New
So-
Hampshire,
And that's where it comes down in Florida too. They look back at the VIN number and where it came from, and that's the thing that you have to meet, regardless of what state you're in and what special production vehicle sticker you get. It still has to meet all the things that state says this is required in our state, or they say, sorry, you don't get to come in. Here's your ticket, or we impound you.
My point is
And
there's
they
no
legally
reason.
make
Typically, you have to follow the laws where your tag's at. Like when I moved from Florida to Ohio, Florida doesn't have front plate tags. I had an Ohio state trooper pull me over for not having front plate tag, and I said, "This vehicle's from Florida. You can't write me a ticket." He spent an hour on the freaking phone with somebody and came back and said, "You're correct." You know what
There's
I mean?
a kid. There's a kid on YouTube whose dad's a cop. The state you are traveling in, you have to abide by their laws. Yeah, that's factual too. If you're operating a vehicle on their state highways, man, it's got to. They may not go after you, but you got to be compliant with their laws.
Let's be careful about what would happen if you actually litigated it or did all those other things. The bottom line is, this is a great example because of the federalist system in the United States, where we've got all 50 different rules in 50 different states. Now we broaden this to all the different countries for our discussion about what are streetcars.
Right.
And we have to allow for the fact that what is a streetcar is going to vary from place to place.
Well,
Period,
no. How about we
right?
just keep legality out of it? Legality should come into
That's
what's
the
a streetcar or
point.
not.
Yes.
Completely agreed.
99
Correct, and we don't want to make it that way. We want to just do
not
what
legal. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there's so many laws. When you get legal, there's so many laws that contradict. In Florida, like Eddie's talking about window tint laws, I'm allowed to tint my windows 35%. But we also have a law that states if we alter our vehicle in any way, shape, or form from OEM, it is not legal to be driven on the road. So there's two laws right there that contradict each other.
Yeah. Let's shift gears a second. I think it's safe to say that you can't define something as a streetcar by the laws, because each country and or state has, in this country, the states have their own laws that differ wildly. And in the UK, they have laws that differ wildly and frankly are draconian. It's much harder for Andy Frost to maintain a license for that car than it is for anybody over here.
Or in continental Europe, or in most of the countries all over the world. So
I'm gonna say disadvantage Andy Frost on that one. Let's keep the focus on Andy Frost's car. What's a good car? Yeah,
agreed.
So to him, that's a disadvantage. He has a much harder time to keep that thing licensed than we do over here. So huge kudos to him for breaking down that barrier. Now, the next thing on my list, did it compete in Drag Week or not? We already had guys on my post on Facebook today saying, well, if it ain't couldn't finish Drag Week, it's not a streetcar. In fact, you've got some rather snotty editors and magazine and TV, whatever, radio or YouTube channel personalities acting like they don't even give it attention, and certain magazines won't even give it attention if it's not a Drag Week car because they feel that they define what a streetcar is. Well, here's my personal opinion, take on that. Piss off, because they've been doing this racing. Sabari and Frost were going at it back and forth in the 90s on this stuff, before there was a drag, before there was even a Pumpcast Drags, before there was a fastest streetcar shootout.
This is the same group of magazines that can't even dyno a brand new Corvette properly. So why should we let them dictate anything?
Good point.
I mean, right? Honestly, what the hell do they know?
Can you say free publicity? Free publicity. That's all that was.
Yeah, I mean, go back to doing what gets YouTube clicks by 11-year-olds, gentlemen. That's my message to that crowd is no, Drag Week does not define whether it's a streetcar or not. Frost has taken, in my opinion, entirely too much crap from people. Why don't you come over and show us it's a streetcar? Come over and do Drag Week. Yeah, why don't you pay the $50,000 to get the car here and the $50,000 to get it home? He already brought it over here. He's already done streetcar shootouts over here long before there was a Drag Week. You know what I mean? The guy already did that. I can totally see where he's coming from on the piss off about Drag Week thing. It's not.
Dan Rich's cars.
I'm with you on that. I have a belief that the Drag Week side is, it's cool that you have a car that can do Drag Week, but it doesn't make your car a street car, because anybody can drive down the road and oops, it broke, I need to fix something, and keep going, and oops, it broke, I need to fix something every 150 miles to make it happen.
I mean,
Anybody with
current-
enough dedication, enough parts, enough tools can make it through drag week. Doesn't mean you're a street car.
Yeah.
It
Your
means you
current big
competed
car-
and
your-
completed drag week. That's it.
Your current big dog drag week guy has been through more blocks and cylinder
Fuck,
heads
they work
and
on their
millions
cars.
of dollars in
Yeah.
parts. Oh God, the more parts than I can throw at that thing. So that's just a money thing. It's like, why tell a guy like Frost who's working on a budget, oh, you're nobody if you don't come over here and do drag week. Nah, too arrogant. I don't want to be part of the arrogant Americans that do that. So again, but it's still an advantage in Frost's case that he doesn't have to put 5,000 miles in that thing or 1,500 miles on it to prove that it's a street car. All he's got to
Or
do is
5.
drive it up and down the street and pass the MOT. Yeah, if it's 5 miles, so what? Rod Sabare cruised his car around the fairgrounds and it was a street car. You know what I mean? So that unfortunately
I
someone
can't
stake.
define that.
I know. You have a problem with some of us do.
No. I'm just looking. There's a guy named Jeff Bonifield who posted on the YouTube channel. This
Okay.
discussion will end as an argument about semantics. No one is correct. It's a matter of critical thinking, and I gotta agree with that. We'll
God,
never
yes, Jeff
get to
Bonifield.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's what our discussion was,
Well,
is we all have our
that's-
own opinion.
Yeah, but and I'm not trying to finish it that way, Bill. I'm just trying to point out what example for what kind of challenges Andy Frost face, what advantages he has. Number one advantage is in his country, no one's going to accuse him of not being a street car by not finishing drag week. But Larry Larson, he had to do drag week, or else they weren't going to call it a street car. So advantage Andy, but the disadvantage is how hard it was to license the car. So my point is, there are challenges that are greater for some and lesser for others, but it all kind of balances out. The next thing for me was the tracks. We all here in the States can go within an hour or two of home and have a track to go run our number. In fact, Larson's 5-second pass did not even happen at drag week, because when we ran drag week in 2014, there were no tracks capable of holding a 5-second pass, definitely not running them safely on a Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. Tulsa was the best option we had. They prepped the crap out of it for us, had the safety equipment, and it was safe enough to go let out of the 1,000 feet and run a 6:16.3, right, for Larry's car. Look at Andy Frost. They're not going to run a 5 and a 3,000-pound car at Santa Pod. God bless Santa Pod, don't get me wrong, but that's not the track to do that at. They got to go to Bahrain to find a track. That's across the goddamn globe for those guys. It's disadvantage in his court, but an advantage to the rest of the guys over here. And again, Tom Bailey, he ran his 5-second pass finally this year at drag week. But dude, they're running on tracks on the East Coast that are, prepped and capable of handling a pass like that with a car at that weight. So he was
Tyler
able to
Cross,
find
which acknowledges the fact that, as someone else pointed out earlier, if you got a car that can run a 5 anything in the quarter mile,
You're
you've
badass.
accomplished something. The
You're
bottom
badass.
line is,
yes.
other than like Beckman's funny car, which, remember, those guys are in the 2s and the 8, just as a reminder.
Right.
Everybody else is
Well,
grabbling
Do you remember what a deal it was when Larry was the first car to run a 6
Yeah.
during drag week?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So,
Even that's badass.
yeah. So
For sure.
we're going to have trouble defining exactly what a quote street car is, because to go back to
Well-
Jeff Bonifield's post, there's semantics, there's
Semantics.
rules, there's
Sure.
what about this, what about that. I think it's appropriate with this idea of respecting the guys who are pushing the limits and
I'm almost
making
done.
the stuff go. And
I'm almost there.
okay,
Hang on, Bill. Before
and
we
then
summarize.
I'd love to pivot to talk about how you make cars actually do that.
Yes, yeah, no, let's. And it's funny. This is a really good transition. My last point here, the ease of obtaining parts and talent for doing cars to go 5s. So Chris Burton, wonderful fella, the chassis guy for Red Victor, okay, which is Andy Frost's car, Red Victor 3 now. Chris Burton made an interesting post, and he's like, yeah, I fucked up the first time. The chassis wasn't stiff enough. I did my best. I'm trying, guys, but this is the only 5-second car I've ever worked on, and there's only one other. So Andy's actually he's faster than the fastest door car of any kind from the UK, including their Pro Mod classes that race over there, the lightweight cars at Santa Pod, which is really cool. And Chris Burton built that car and they had to strengthen the chassis because the chassis was flexing. They had to come back and reworked the chassis. And the guy did it, and he was just posted pictures tonight. And God bless him, he's just such a humble guy. And I told him, hey man, you could build a 5-second car for my customers any day, especially one that weighs 3,000 pounds. But my point here is sorry, hang on just a second. The inability to access parts. Okay, Andy's got to source a tuner from the States because it's a twin turbo deal with of course they're running Motec. They're spending the big bucks, but he's got to source a lot of engine parts from the States. They've gotten so many stories of getting the wrong stuff stuck in customs, stuff that didn't fit, because it's normal for us to stuff doesn't fit. Well, shit, we'll just run it back to the parts store or go down to the manufacturer, drive over to Bewley's and pick something up and have lunch with Bewley or whatever. But you don't do that when you live halfway across the damn planet, and there's hardly any source for speed parts over there. So these guys, it's a huge
not to mention the 20% value added tax for those.
Oh shit, the expense that he's facing. And by the way, he's not funded nationally like the Bloodhound Group. Yeah, they're doing this on let's give you $10 and we'll put your name on the deck lid kind of funding. They're busting their ass. So huge disadvantage in his court for that. It's a bigger challenge for him to overcome. I still think it was harder for Frost than it was for just about anybody else to come up with a 5-second car, frankly. So my hat's off to you, Andy Frost and crew. Shane Tecklenburg, you're still a dickhead, but we love you anyway. He's a friend of mine, so I can call him that. In fact, I should go dig up, when I was working with Larson, Shane was headed over he was on a plane to Bahrain, and he was coaxing me and kind of, actually he was giving really good advice, and he's like, listen, fucker, when I step off this plane in 8 hours, I better hear that you guys ran a 5-second pass. He was all about this positive support. So I tried to be as supportive as I could with those guys too, and just saying, look, man, go get it. Go smash our record. I hope that car runs a 575 before it's done and lights the internet on fire, gives us something to talk about all winter long. I love those guys for what they're doing. They're going to go down in history is huge. That's all I have to say. Love you, Andy Frost. Transition however you guys like.
I'd like to give a quick shout out to Tom Vignew. Tom says his definition of a streetcar is if it's got 150 pounds of seat pressure, it's a race car. 100 pounds or less of seat pressure, it's a streetcar.
You know what's funny is I didn't read that post as seat pressure because his post says 150 pound seat equal race car, 100 pounds or less streetcar. I was thinking about those typical pro street, cars where they put the little Kirky seats in them that weigh nothing.
I shouldn't have said seat pressure. I should have said seat poundage. That would have been a more correct statement. But
it's really funny, Mark, because it's like, it's very interesting, different definitions, because if you're really trying to go fast, your seat, the thing you sit in, has to be engineered sufficiently for safety, and it might weigh more. I don't know. I went to a completely different place on that. That's interesting. I think you're correct, and Tom will correct both of us.
Well, you had to look at our discussion we were having earlier, because Tom said Vignew said a streetcar was something you could drive coast to coast, and I said, yeah, from the guy with 180 pounds of seat pressure turning 9,000 RPM, in a drag week car, which was Jake Stelter's record-setting Chevelle. That was Vignew that built that. So he was expounding on that, and he says, well, really a streetcar would be 100 pounds or less on the seat, and a race car is 150 or more. That's where the joke came from.
No, I totally get that. We're at 150 pounds in the seat, so we split the difference. What the hell? But it's a big block, by the way. So what is...
I weigh like 145. Does that mean
you have 150 pounds in the seat on the car, Bill?
I'm 305.
Yeah. Scott Evans has 150 pounds on the seat. The one
just in the driver's seat.
Little fucking bastard.
I have 150 pounds in the driver's seat.
Fowler, your big block Ford only has 150 pounds of valve spring in it?
Yeah, because that's what the lobe, we've got the right lobe in it. Thank you, Tom Vignew.
Okay. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and so we don't break shit and we don't kill shit on the way. And the bottom line is, the next time I want my car to go fast, I'm going to put Scott Evans or Doc McIntyre in it, because Lord knows there's a tiny difference in that. But let's go back to,
if you just hurry up and put the turbos on, you don't need to worry about the weight of the driver. You just turn it up a little more.
Yeah, I know. That's what everybody says. You just turn it up a little more. So what is
He's
it
scared,
that it
Scott.
takes to have a car that will actually drive and race, though? What does that really take? There was a long discussion on a post from Induction Solutions today. Steve put that up about what kind of, do people run restrictors on their cooling system? And oh my God, that fomented a
Hell
lot
no.
of discussion. Yeah, hell no is, in my view, the right answer, but it was interesting to see the answers on something as simple as, do you run a restrictor on, at your, thermostat housing on these cars? And the vehemence about positions on all sides of that was pretty fascinating. So, that's where I thought this could turn into an interesting discussion. If you're going to have a streetcar takeover car, a drag week car, a true street car, what do you need to actually be successful at that? Whatever speed.
You said one of the things that I think is extremely important that people worry about. And I think it's one of the things that people worry about a lot. A lot of people don't think about, I'm going to worry about my valve springs breaking or a rocker breaking or something like that. They're not thinking about those type of things usually. A lot of guys are thinking about, is my vehicle going to overheat on a long drive? Like, that's a big question that I hear from a lot of guys. And, if you can do a long drive without overheating, that's maybe part of the definition of maybe a street car. I think we could all agree that if you can only drive down the block and then it overheats, well, that's not a street car. If you can go a considerable distance or drive all day long in the hot summer day and not overheat, that kind of makes me say, yeah, you're a street car. You can drive it without having to worry about that.
I heard Andy Frost give that same definition once. And
I don't think it has to be the only thing that makes it. I mean, there's more to it, but that's like a part of it. I think you can actually drive it.
That's a huge part, because then everything else starts to fail if it starts to overheat. Back in the 90s,
right?
Orlando had a cruise, for the pro street class. That's where, Memphis had the cruise. And I actually built one of the very first pro street era cars from the 90s with a friend of mine at a local chassis shop. I was working for him. It was a 69 Camaro convertible. He ran with no top. And that guy would actually cruise around town a pretty good bit, had a 615 in it with Linco. But back in Orlando days, people had nitrous plates, zip tied to the radiator. They would purge it and, cool the radiator down. They was doing everything they could to try to make those laps. And it was, what all people did was amazing just to get it through back those days. We didn't have the technology, nothing like it is now.
Truth.
God bless turbos.
God, I know, right? Easier on everything. Low compression.
I mean, you want to talk about what it takes to be a street car? I mean, let's talk about some of the guys from my bunch.
Jonathan Coleman. Yeah.
Let's talk about Coleman. Street race, small block power adder, class winner.
Gotta have a hydraulic roller.
Well, I mean, hey.
No,
hydraulic roller, solid roller. It doesn't matter. I've done them both. Dan Reach's car is solid roller.
I know cars came from the factory solid a long time ago, so I don't have a problem with a solid roller.
I'm teasing, but I forget. There was an episode we had Jonathan Coleman on, and he went into all the details on that car, and it was a pretty good listen if you go back and listen to it.
That car is 3,460 pounds. It's got air conditioning, power steering, power windows. Doesn't have power brakes. It does have manual brakes. 2 cup holders.
Then it's out.
Overdrive.
Power brakes.
Yeah, it's got fucking wheel hoods on it with like
I know.
4-pot calipers on every corner. Stop rolling your eyes, Tom.
John's half drunk. I want to keep poking back at him until he gets mad and rages out on us.
Tom, you can.
He's getting on it.
Tom, your little hydraulic roller equals a puke. You can kiss my ass. 658 at 218 hydraulic roller. Take that, put that in your pipe, and smoke it and vomit on that.
If you're following the Facebook chat, Tom Vickey's on there giving Bewley shit. It's always fun. So anyway, carry on.
I mean that's the epitome of a street car. Look at Coleman's
car.
Look
nails it. It's got air conditioning.
Yeah, Derek Kelly's car. Derek Kelly, ET record holder in street race. Street racer class, does the cruise every street car takeover on M1. Drives that car on M1. That car gets double-digit miles per gallon on M1. Fuck you, it's not a streetcar.
Not a
Hey, I
street.
gotta
I
ask
don't-
a question.
I don't
gotta
give
I'll
a
tell you
shit
this.
what it burns.
I'm
I gotta
teasing,
ask
but I
a
doubt
question.
it gets 10 miles per gallon on M1. Go ahead.
I mean, we can test it. You want to bring your,
I'll
you want
test it.
to bring a couple of flow meters on it. Bring it over. We'll put them on.
I
there.
gotta ask you
Oh,
something.
can
I gotta
haul it.
ask you something, Bewley.
What?
On Coleman's hydraulic roller,
Yep.
does he have to run special fucking oil in it so that it doesn't clatter the lifters like a sewing machine?
Fuck no.
Okay, I was just checking.
No. It runs stock rocker arms. How much more fucking legit you got to be to run 740s in the quarter mile?
I've just been told. I've been told
Dude,
that
I thought
hydraulic
Kelly's been
roller
bottom
lifters need
sevens.
special oil.
Derek Kelly's been 713. Jonathan Coleman's been
Gotcha.
740.
Gotcha. Tom Viggy is gonna just piss you off with that next post.
He can go. He can go on.
My wife's
I ain't-
minivan has hydraulic rollers. I love you, Tom. Oh God, he's so
And wood
hilarious.
grain.
And wood grain.
That's fine.
He's killing it. And a sliding door. Oh shit. So you see where this
But
goes.
I mean, everybody's got their own view of it. But I mean, if you can take it, it can be tagged in the state that you live in, and you can go drive the thing on a road. It's a streetcar.
See,
That's my view on
my
it.
definition isn't if you can, it's if you do. If you do.
Well,
drive it.
how much you do is dependent on what you can do, because not everybody, Dan Wrench's car is no less a streetcar than Derek Kelly's car, because Dan doesn't go out and put 8,000 miles a year on his car, and Derek goes and puts it on his, or Coleman puts it on his. They're both
Coleman does, yeah.
equally,
Yeah.
Jonathan.
It's the
puts
same
shit
discussion
on
of
his.
It's the same discussion of if some guy buys a classic car and it's very low mileage and he's trying to maintain the value, he still drives it once a month up to get a burger or something. He drives it very little. Is that suddenly not a street car because he doesn't drive it, but it came from the factory? It's still all original, 100%. He just doesn't drive it? No, it doesn't make it not a street car. It's totally a street car. He chooses not to drive it to save the value.
I get that argument, but a lot of people, they like to say they have a street car and then they don't drive it because they really can't drive it, and they just do the short little drives to say they
So
have a
can't
street car.
versus won't.
Well, that's the difference.
Well, I mean, can't.
That's the
Yeah, there's a
Can't
big
drive
difference
it
in can't versus not, or choosing not to. Dan's car will make a 30-mile cruise. It'll do any tree street event. That car's gone, 3 passes back to back without popping the hood. That's basically, short of a drag week style.
Dan Wrench. What do I got to do to put that motor in something light, man? Holy crap, that combo was probably the most impressive engine combo that we've talked about here tonight
for a small block.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to brag, but how many small block powered cars do you know of that are over 3,400 pounds that make enough horsepower to go
Bottom sevens.
204, 205, 206?
Almost none.
I mean, that's a legit 23 to 2,400 horsepower. No matter what calculator you use, you're going to come out somewhere north of 2,200. And then it'll get even more accurate if you take coefficient of drag into effect, the fact that it's a Nova with a super tall profile with the tall windshield and the tall body. I mean, just imagine that combination in something like
coaster.
in Capizzi's Fox.
Oh,
Okay,
God, yes.
Yeah. So let's think about that for a minute. You're talking about a car that is 800 pounds lighter.
Right.
And
oh my God, that's going to be a mid-high 6 car. Yeah.
Right. And with the ability of that car to 60 foot over, Dan's car, fucking the notch could probably go 102, 103 with that much power on tap.
Right.
So you're talking about something that could probably get into the high 670s.
Hey,
I'm going to
shout
say
out, by the way.
I say it'll go 215s. Do it.
We interrupt this rant for a shout out. My buddy Troy Langlo is on here. I don't know if you know the Langlo family. He's Arlie Langlow's cousin, but they just ran last weekend at El Mirage. Oh my God, what a dirty ass place. Holy crap. Car filled up with dust. You basically can't see nothing. But anyway, good to see Troy on here. And then I see also Craven Moore, our buddy Chris Carroll's on here listening.
I want to shift gears. I want to shift gears a little bit. Is that okay, Scott?
Shift away. Right after I tell Darth
Well-
Laws, you are right, Dan Wrench to the front. But go ahead, Mark.
Well,
Well,
let's say you want to put together a combination like Capizzi's or someone else's, and you need to fill out the form, and you're out of ballpoint pens. Where are you going to get yourself the nicest ballpoint pen ever made?
Theblindmachinist.com is where you're going to get that.
Theblindmachinist.com.
Yeah, so listen, everybody, you got to go check this place out because, and I actually have 2 of these pens, and it's kind of funny. I don't know, unless you're like a lawyer or a judge or a good person even, you might.
Hey.
I'm teasing. Some lawyers are good; they're few and far between. But so no, if you like to write, if you like to have a good writing utensil, it's kind of funny. Back in the college days, I like to write with a pen. And I like to have a good pen. You want $100 pen? You want $150 or $200 quality badass pen that's been turned on a fucking lathe by hand? And check out what Dan Parker's selling as his fundraiser. He's got these pens that he's doing. They got a couple of different options now, but it's at theblindmachinist.com. Now they're also doing razors, and I'm absolutely going to order that up next. But we did 2 of the pens. Mary got me 2 of the pens for my birthday, and she got 1 for her too. She made me give her 1 of them, but super badass, nice pens. And they also got they're the nice cartridge style pens. So you can actually go to like an office supply place and buy the nice refills for them and the different size balls and the different ink colors if you want to. But they're they're like a legitimate executive quality pen. And I don't know, like she told me, Mary was a vice president at a huge finance company up in Omaha, and she was like, "Oh my God, this pen, this is like what we'd get like a $200 pen. This is a really nice piece of equipment. It's weighted nice, all this stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, it's quality piece." So anyway, buy a pen from Dan. We're trying to help him out.
I got mine, and they come in this nice wood case that opens up, and it's this nice machine pen. And I was showing my wife, and she looks at me and she goes, "How much did you pay for that?" And I told her, and she goes, "Oh, thank God, it's not as bad as I thought it was."
Right. Mary said the same thing. She's like, "I couldn't believe how cheap these pens were." Yeah. No, it's a good quality piece. Man.
I appreciate
How
you
many
really
things
watching
have you had to make
now.
God damn, do we have? Can we post pictures of this while we're showing this? I'm
working on it right now. Sit tight.
Yeah,
you guys
let's
talk
do
for a
that.
minute while I go find these. Go ahead.
All right. Cool.
And I have a couple of other options. The original pens like you guys got are 3/8 diameter, and I've started making what I call the executive pen. That's a 9/16 diameter. It's a lot higher end, all the components, and I put a knurl on the smaller pens, and these I'm putting basically dimples with a 3/16 ball nose end mill. Put them down the length of the body at the bottom of the grip where you grip it the right with. And also making razors and doing them the same way. We have a couple new colors coming out for the razors and the pens. We got a burnt bronze coming out, and we got an earth tone for the razors, sort of the military. And all the pens except for the polished ones are Cerakoted. We have a local guy that does my Cerakoting for me. He's real detail oriented, and so they're really durable. They're made to last, and they're made to be something quality. It's hand machined in America by the blind kid. And so I appreciate everybody. Like I said, all the proceeds are going to finish my Corvette to become the world's fastest blind man. And,
which is badass.
Go to the blind.
Who could possibly have? Yeah, I'm like there right now, so I'm saving the images. I'm going to post them up in about 30 seconds. I will have these guys ready on a slideshow. Keep going.
So Dan, this is Bill. Send me the order form for the 2 5/8 Cerakote CEO pen.
Okay.
Well, you can go to theblindmachinist.com
and do it yourself.
Fill out the order form there. Yeah, like I'm doing that for all the people listening to the show because we don't want them all messaging Dan. Yeah, we don't want them all messaging Dan. Say, can you send me the form? If you go to theblindmachinist.com, you can fill it out right there.
Yep.
Dan will actually talk to you. He'll try to send you a link.
Yeah. We actually provide customer service at our website. I appreciate
your website's good. They did a good job.
Yeah, Ainsley Jacobs at PTN Marketing. She built the website for me, and I really appreciate it. She really helps me out with a lot of marketing stuff and some packages, and she's done a really good job on it. And so we're getting there. We're going to turn this into something. Even after the Corvette's finished, I'm going to continue making them and developing other stuff I can make in the shop. Basically, with the unemployment rate of 70% in America for the blind, I got to create my own path. So I got to use the skills God gave me before I went blind and figure out how to make a buck. It's what it's about, hustling and making a buck.
No, Dan, it's absolutely right. We got to support you and moving you forward, but
Boom.
we also
pens are on the slideshow right now, and the razors. Go ahead.
All right.
And Dan actually has
need to
video
find
of
ways
himself.
because there are a million talented people like you that are doing these things that, they're blind or they're deaf or other disabilities. And we got to be cognizant of that and make sure that we're giving those people opportunities too. So everybody listen to this, get on this. I mean,
fuck that. Just get a pen from Dan or a razor.
Look at this. Get a pen from Dan. I mean, I was just going to say, look at this stuff.
Are these badass? Look at what's coming through the slideshow right now. They are super badass. I didn't even have a color option when I got mine, but now I got to get me the executive pen. But now this is good shit. And the razor.
Bronze ones.
Yeah. What's the story on the razor?
Mach 3 replaceable blade. They're made out of 6061 aluminum. And all the dimple detail and everything I do by myself. I made my own jigs. I work out in my machine shop with the lights off, save electricity. And, I do everything manually, And so it is what it is. I'm trying to turn this into something and, hopefully get the Corvette finished soon. It's painted now and Fulton competition got most of the parts. Bewley's got me a camshaft picked out and so hopefully the motor will be finished. I'm shooting for 1st of January, realistic, and we'll keep plugging away at it.
James Short going to do the tuning on that too, isn't he?
Yep, that's what the plan is. Take it, James, because I want to be able to tune the motor and the transmission, because it's a 6L80 deal. I know the tune on that is going to be super critical,
It is. Yeah, you want him to do that. That's awesome. Badass.
Yeah.
And if you guys want to see Dan making this stuff, he's got videos posted on his Facebook page. Tragedy to Triumph Racing.
Oh shit! The razor handle uses disposable heads.
It does. Something? It uses the Mach 3 heads. That's badass because that's the ones I actually use.
Okay, that's the coolest thing ever. I thought it was. I thought it was going to be like an old school with the straight razor where you had to change the blade.
No.
Hey, that's pretty cool.
Up to the Gillette ones. I know that's badass.
I'll have to give me a razor handle too.
Good. You can shave that scraggly ass thing you call a goatee off the damn edge of your chin.
My scraggly ass goatee wearing ass. Son. It hides my double chin. Leave me the hell alone.
You hide your double chin and half your lunch.
Oh my God, Bewley's ass has come up twice tonight. I think we need to stop it right there.
Start kissing.
It's the second time I don't want to know about it.
All I got to say is pick an acre and pack a lunch.
Hey, Bewley, you didn't take me up on on the net earlier today. You said you want a tattoo. I offered to get it to you.
I know that. I saw that. I'm still laughing about that.
Dude, go watch the video of him doing the Hoonigan sticker or the Hoonigan temple or the what? Fuck, that thing was hilarious.
Yeah, the paint the hooligans on the Gambler 500 cars.
That's what it was.
Hey,
yeah, Gambler cars.
Is there any blind tattoo artists out there, Dan? I never in the world.
I hadn't met one yet.
They're fixing to be.
In the world, thought I'd hear a blind machinist artist.
I think we need to do a tattoo on somebody. Dan needs to get some practice in. That's hilarious.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Frank Romano has volunteered to do a tattoo for anyone that comes through RealTuners. So all you have to do is get your ass to New York, and you can get a RealTuners tattoo. So
who
get
did?
You all up there.
Who are we talking about?
Maybe I could go do a 1 week apprenticeship under him.
Yeah, it's Frank Romano. Everybody knows Frank Romano. He runs the Silver 55 stick shift car. He's the of the stick shift shootout at Drag Week, and that's his business. He is a major tattoo artist.
Badass.
In the greater New York City area.
Is he on Mixler or something? I don't see him on Facebook.
Yeah, no, he's only been on here a couple of times, but
you're just
going ahead and offering for him anyway.
no, we've talked about this before, and he is a very cool dude. And I don't know if y'all recall, but he was the one. His 55 and Glenn Hunter's 56 were on the cover of the Hot Rod cruising down Fifth Avenue in Manhattan some years ago as drag week cars.
Right.
So, and he's the guy with that really started the stick shift shootout and all that stuff. So yeah. He's
Speaking of Glenn Hunter, his car was flying at World Cup.
Yeah.
Yep.
He had it turned up a little bit over the drag week team. So that was really cool to see.
Interesting.
Oh, that car was running. I mean, I think he went 200 mile an hour once. He never went 200 mile an hour at drag week. He didn't.
No, he did not.
He had a hot tune up in it at World Cup. He had it turned up.
Yeah, no, he's been working on that combination. When he came out, I don't know if y'all remember, but a number of years ago, originally that was a blower deal, a screw blower deal, and then he converted over the twin turbos and just keeps working it. And that's, along the lines, of a Joe Barry. I mean, a real steel car. I mean, that's a real car.
That's
real
my favorite
glass,
class car anyway. That's Larson's favorite classes too, was the ultimate iron class. That's the real guys to watch.
Yeah. And, that car just gets faster and faster. And those guys are just very cool bunch of guys from out, in New York. And they just keep going faster and faster. And now he's gone 200 and now he's beginning to knock on the door of the bottom sevens. And be interesting to see where that goes next.
Yeah, he was running the same class at World Cup that Dan was running, that Warriors versus Tres Cuatros or whatever.
Sorry, that was funny.
I just learned how to pronounce the damn name of the class like the last day of World Cup.
You even had like the Spanish accent there. Warriors versus the Tres Cuatros. That was funny.
Listen, is it a proper pronunciation if you don't do that?
I'm not sure.
Let's be real. I don't think it qualifies.
I think the ethnic folks appreciate you trying.
I mean, hey, I got some Puerto Rican friends that make fun of me when I try and do that. And
I'm going to pinch you into being an announcer next year at World Cup.
No, they've already got a Puerto Rican announcer. They don't need to add me to that whole mix.
I love that guy too. I like him the best. He's my favorite, actually.
Have y'all seen the meme? Have you seen the meme going around the last 2 days about him?
No.
Oh, there's the headache meme. How it's like migraine and sinus, and it's got parts of the head colored red. And then the last panel of the meme, the whole head is red, and it says the Puerto Rican announcer at World Cup.
Oh! No, I'm sorry. Oh, man.
I mean, I was sitting there thinking I was going to have Spanish figured out by the time Sunday was over. Just listening to him. But
rock solid.
I guess that wasn't as funny as I thought it was.
No, it's funny. We were all just doing something different just now. I was all looking at the chats and seeing if anybody had any other thoughts or questions or concerns or comments, because we could wrap it up a little early tonight. It's been an hour.
I'm just I'm a little drunk, and you typed Fruity Loops, and I just started thinking about bowls of Fruit Loops, and now I'm hungry for a bowl.
So I was sending Evans a message saying, "Man, this new mixer setup that we got here, knock on wood, but it's solid as a rock." And I've got this portable setup, you guys. I can do this podcast from my car, which I'm practically doing tonight. I'm literally doing this on a 2 bars on my Verizon Wi-Fi hotspot in the middle of somewhere in a damn mountain range. I'm off site with a customer again, and this portable rig that Evans helped me set up is wicked. I can literally do it all from the laptop, all powered by the laptop. Literally, I can plug into a little inverter generator or a 12-volt inverter on my car and be driving around if I wanted to and do this thing, and it still have the sound quality that Evans has come to drive us to. And by sound quality, I mean the fact that you can hear everybody. It's literally, there's active software on the fly adjusting the levels super fast so that what comes out, regardless of where anybody's at in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and
Awesome.
Bill drinks every week, so.
Stop that.
No, they're already sending me private warning messages. Get ready to mute Bill. He's already slurring his speech.
Every group has their alcoholic.
Oh, you know, that's funny. My wife was saying I was slurring my speech, and I said, no, I was not. But anyway, Scott, so you are broadcasting from very far northeast, western, South Ohio.
Correct.
Iowa.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah. Something.
And, so I think, you know, since we're wrapping on the short end of the show here, we should talk about what are the key things. Let's walk around the hosts and then see if we got some posts on the chats. But what are the critical elements that people need to have in their fast street cars? Not the definition of street cars, but what, you know, we touched on this a couple of times, but since it's the fast street car show, why don't we just say, what does everybody think, you know, needs to be? What do you got to do? And Scott Evans, you had a really good definition earlier, so I'm going to put this on you first. But what's your definition of a real, truly fast street car?
I don't understand the question. What do you mean? For what I said earlier, what did I say earlier that you're thinking of? Because we've all said a lot.
I was counting on you to be cogent and concise, but what are you going to do? What I meant was, what are the key qualifications? You know, is it something you trailer out to someplace and it doesn't have a radiator, or is a fast
Gotcha.
car? Yeah.
Short list for me. Short list for me is that you can, I agree with Mark, where I say you can put fuel from the pump in it and drive wherever you want. That's my key. I don't care if you have AC or not, because cars from back in the day didn't come with AC, so it doesn't really matter to me. I think it should have some kind of creature comfort, whether it's a radio or a cup holder, something that says I have a place in the car that makes it comfortable more than just driving in silence, unless you like to drive in silence. And it can be as simple as a single cup holder, because when you go down to the Burger King to pick up some lunch, you want to have somewhere to put your drink when you drive it home. For me, that's basically it. You need to be able to drive it anywhere, and it should be capable of driving across the country, even if you choose not to. You shouldn't have to stop and fix parts every 5 minutes to make it do that. It should be I can drive it 700 miles, 2,000 miles, 10,000 miles without having to break out the tools to fix something.
We're not pulling the heads off.
Classifies as a street car.
Yeah.
Right. With minor maintenance is okay. Change the oil. You know, old cars that were solid roller, you still had to lash the valves. So I'm okay if you got to lash the valves every so often, but you shouldn't have to like replace shit to make it last long. Like it should have a longevity of its own to where you're not working on it constantly when you drive it somewhere. Different if you're flogging on it at the track and you need to work on it every pass, but the longevity of not having to work on it all the time when you're just cruising makes it a street car to me.
Man, he does a good job right there, guys. What do you think?
Yeah,
That's a good definition right there, Evans. That was good.
Mark Dahlquist?
Well, I was pretty much, no, I couldn't find the unmute button. I was kind of laid back and just listening. But with me, it's if you could just fill it up at the pump and drive it where you need to drive it. You know, interesting tidbit, Porsche didn't put cup holders in their cars until the mid to late 2000s because the Germans feel you should be driving, not drinking. But
what do they know?
What do they know? Exactly.
Bill
I'm
Fowler's
not
never
saying
going
you
to buy a
have to have a
Porsche.
cup holder. I was just looking for a creature comfort of some sort that makes it feel like you're not, that gives you some kind of comfort. It doesn't necessarily have to be that.
Does your girl in the
some
passenger
cars.
seat count?
Say again?
Does your girl in my passenger seat, does that count?
Wow. That's comfort there.
Yeah. Hey,
You're gonna have to get her out of my passenger seat.
I don't know if it's
That's
Scott's
better than
girlfriend. It may not be comfort, but it's creature. Carry on.
That's better than having Julie's ass in the passenger seat.
Hey, I like him a little crazy.
I just want to know Tom's wife's opinion on the matter.
Tom?
My wife don't care. We had that conversation the other day. She's like, "You can get a girlfriend, just don't move her in our house." I was like, "Right,
Well, you don't claim her on the taxes. I don't give a shit.
exactly."
And I think you can count your passenger seat as your creature comfort because, hey, that's your comfort right next to you. If you want to put somebody in the passenger seat with you to be able to be your comfort while you're driving, good enough for me.
I want to bring my dog Wyatt, but you're all gonna give me shit about that. So, Kevin Shaw says the fastest car in New Zealand is an all-steel '56 Bel Air twin turbo big block Chevy, drives the strip, runs 740s at 194, regular street car with a long history. It's been doing street trip duty for, get this, 50 years.
Yeah.
Brian Barnhill, what do you think is a streetcar?
I mean, that's even a problem we have in the drift world because a lot of guys, if you don't drive your drift car on the street, what's the point? You just ruined a good car. Insert pro racing is dumb comment here. If you got to be able to drive it, if you're going to call it a street track car, stop looking for loopholes. Can you realistically drive it? Go pick up dinner, come home. Would you be embarrassed to put your blind date or first date in that car?
Hey, whoa, with a blind date, pal.
Oh, shit. Hold up on them blind jokes.
Brian, I've seen some of those Drift 240s. Those guys got no scruples. They'll drive anything.
I know,
yeah,
man.
I mean, technically, what I'm dailying right now, which is dumb, it's my Time Attack Miata because I'm too lazy to fix my daily. Doesn't have a cup holder. It does have power windows, and it technically is a street car. That sucks. And what some of these guys are calling a street car, if you can't do a real road trip in it, drive it to commute to work, get what you have to do without killing yourself, and take a legit road trip that requires you to pass through a few different areas. So you can't rely on that one pump, then I don't think you can call it a street car. And if you're gonna try to look for loopholes, you're already doing it wrong. So
There you go. That's a good point.
Cool. Mike Perduto, what's your definition of a street car?
As I get older, it changes some, but I'm going to say Orlando did a really good job of defining it this past weekend at the Street Nationals with the True Street class. They sat these cars behind the wall. They went for call it a 30, 40-mile cruise, whatever it was. They pulled in. They went straight to the lanes. No parts changes, no body parts swaps, no motor swaps. They didn't even add fuel. You cooled your car. You changed your tire pressure. You made a lap. You came right back to the staging lanes. You did it again, and then you did it again. They had to make 3 passes on what they had on board on the car. No parts changes, no nothing. That's a street car to me. You're going racing from stoplight to stoplight before you take the car home.
Cool. John Bewley.
Top rockers.
Coleman's car.
Well, I mean, there's so
Coleman's
many
car.
different ways. Coleman's car, Dan's car.
That's a
Derek
badass
Kelly's
street car. Yeah, Dan Ranch. I'm not going to give Derek Kelly I don't think that car will go 100 miles down the road. But
It'll go 100
maybe.
miles on a tank of fuel. It'll go 100
Okay.
miles on a tank of fuel. It
Okay,
will.
all
Promise
right.
you that.
Okay,
There
all
was,
right, then
there
maybe
was
I'll
a
go with that.
cruise.
And I love that
there was
car,
a
don't get me
cruise-
wrong.
There was a cruise where a wrong turn was taken at the Charlotte streetcar takeover event, and the cruise was 87 miles instead of 40 something.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
can that car go 100 miles? Yes, that car can go 100 miles.
That's a long,
Right on.
wrong turn.
That's a
That
long,
is.
wrong turn. Yeah, it
Well-
took them a while to get back to where they needed to be. But Dan's car, to me, Dan's car is the epitome of an over the top street car. That car can, he has taken that car, parked it in his driveway, put the cooler in the passenger seat, put the fire suit in the back seat, drove it to National Trail, unloaded, iced it down, put it in the lanes, went 722 at 194 miles an hour, loaded the cooler up, put the fire suit back in the back seat, and drove it home. And it's a 45-minute drive from his house to Trails and then 45 minutes back. And that was done on a single tank of fuel.
That's
so
good enough for me, man.
My personal view is if you can go anywhere in your town, it's a streetcar. It doesn't have to go from town to town to town. I don't believe, the reality of it is, can it go from town to town? Yes, but it doesn't have to. These cars are to the point now where you just don't want to put that kind of time in them. And I don't think you have to put that kind of time in them to prove it and prove that it's a legit streetcar. Darth Laws has got probably, Darth Laws has got a badass streetcar.
Hell yes, he does. Yep.
That silver car. I follow him on Snapchat. I love getting Darce's Snapchats. They're great. He hangs out with a bunch of really cool guys, and his Snapchat is loaded with over-the-top streetcars.
Darce Laws made me some stickers for the RealTuners class. It said, "Fuck Scott Clark." That's all. He made me a sticker on my laptop.
I want some of those bumper stickers along with my diesel.
Darce, you need to make more
stickers.
Yeah.
Scott Clark, what's a real streetcar?
I'll tell you what. Let me tell you, I like one that can run on a pump gas of some kind. I'll tell you what, Doc McIntyre's car. That McIntyre's car has gone. It's the only 7-second naturally aspirated class car at Drag Week, and it has dominated for years the overall fastest naturally aspirated classes, the big block NA classes at Drag Week, and just established dominance. And what was cool about Doc's car, one of the reasons it was so reliable on the trips, is he would have me come down. He's a doctor, pediatric surgeon or some shit, big deal, and he volunteers for the Catholic orphanages around Kansas City area. There's 2 or 3 of them, and so he'd do these weekend drives, and his requirement was the car had to be able to do the 120-mile loop on the weekends reliably to get him there, and then he'd take some of these kids out for rides and stuff like that. And so the car had to be reliable for the road crews, and he focused on that more than he focused on how quick it was. He worried about the quick stuff later. But I'll tell you what, that car, now this isn't a requirement, but that thing had a nice interior. It had really good tunes with subs in it and stuff. He later took it out to make room for the Drag Week tools and stuff like that. But and you can wear earbuds and protect your hearing, and the car can be loud inside. But that car would bust off bottom 8s and was posh riding around. I don't think it's a requirement to be the street car, but it was my personal favorite. Because here's the other thing. I'll add to this. Can cruise down the highway at least 75 miles per hour comfortably, consistently. There's some of these guys with their gearing that the cars, it's a street car, but it only goes 55 miles an hour max down the highway, and they got to cruise in these wolf packs that go 55 miles an hour on Drag Week. Those and they're running 3,200 RPM the whole way. Those bug me. I want the car to be able to do a highway cruise at 75 miles an hour, steady state. Fine if you got to wear hearing protection or whatever. But I think that's the big thing. It's got to run on a fuel that you can get out of the pump. And I'm cool with running a different fuel at the track, because when we were in high school, our dumbasses would take a car to a track, drop the exhaust. People complain about Larry Larson changing stuff over. We would drop the exhaust. We'd take the passenger in the back seat out and the spare tire and the jack. We'd try to lose as much weight as we could. We'd put the stupid thing on avgas, which was a dumbass move before I knew anything about tuning. That probably slowed us down. But we'd change out the fuel. We'd do an hour and a half worth of parts changes. So I'm okay with that at the track. But I want to be able to cruise 75 miles an hour down the interstate and not worry about the car burning itself up, eating up the valve train, whatever. So that's basically my definition.
Cool. Anybody else got last words on what defines a really fast
This is
car?
Dan.
Hey, Dan.
This is Dan. I agree with the True Street Challenge, basics, drive at 30 miles, put it straight in the lanes, can't pop the hood, can't do anything. That proves that you got a car that you can drive. That's legit, one that you can't bring it back to pits, ice it down, everything else. And you got to have enough batteries. If you are going to cool it down in lanes, that's legit to me. Back, I think in 99, I was on the cover of Drag Racing USA magazine. I drove the probably the most beautiful Pro Street era car that still today is beautiful to me. David Wolf built it for Landon Jordan back in the day. Steve Kirk bought it. Another guy bought it. I drove it for him. It was a 69 Camaro. This thing was all steel, roll-up windows, real glass. I mean, it was a nice, beautiful car. DOT tires. I went like 7.0s in Orlando, qualified like number 2 or 3. But that car would make an amazing drag week car today. You know, it weighed 3,200 with all the steel on it, and it weighed like, I think, 2,900 if you put the fiberglass front clip doors and all on it. But the True Street Challenge deal is the most, you know, true deal to me.
I like that. That's a good definition right there.
Yeah, True
And
Street.
it's a little more
Ride
hardcore.
around and pick up 8
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's face it, True Street's different because you got a hot lap at Randy Stewart at the Worlds. That deal, they were repeating on about a 15-minute cycle on the West Coast.
That was some dropping people out, wasn't it?
Yeah. The shortest one I've won is a 7-minute because we didn't have many cars. So literally, we were doing 7 minutes, and I base that based on on what was the timestamp on the ET slip.
Mhm.
So, you know, the more cars, the better if you need to cool down. So
I've seen Dan's ran his car at NMCA True Street LSX events before, and I've seen his time slips at, I think he showed one that was 14 minutes apart with a car that'll run 190 plus in a quarter. Yeah. I mean, his transmission.
Dan's on here talking
hot.
about maybe doing Drag Week next year. You see, he's posting, man. Dan Wrench, we need to get you. I would love to have you as a guest on here, dude. If we could get you on here for a little while at some point, would love to have you on and talk about your combo.
You do Drag Week, I'll co-drive it.
Oh shit, yeah, God, that would be so cool.
I'd ride shotgun with you on Drag Week in the Nova.
Dan would give them a run for their money. Yep.
I'm offering.
There you go.
I'll you do Drag Week in the Nova next year. I'm in. I'll co-drive it.
All right, you guys ready to phase it out?
Can I add to my definition of a streetcar?
Yeah, Mark.
Go ahead, Mark.
Earlier, I was defining what I would call a streetcar, but not necessarily what I want in my own streetcar. What I want in my own streetcar is something that's relatively comfortable, air conditioning, cruise control, that I can climb in and drive anywhere I want to go at any time.
And bring my boyfriend with me. Sorry, to carry on.
Bring my boyfriend with me, with like a solid 700 or 800 horse. It doesn't have to be crazy, but something that's got a solid amount of oomph. But definitely want a full streetcar that I can drive in comfort wherever I want to go. That's what I personally want, not necessarily what I define.
I think Eric Yost has summarized this in the best possible way. You can pull a trailer with keg beer is a
streetcar. Amen.
Yes,
thank you, Eric. We're going to let it send out.
I just want to be able to get home from the grocery store without the ice cream melting.
If you can pull the keg beer, you don't even need to worry about the 8-ball.
Truth. All right, you guys.
You can go straight to the hookers.
All right. We're going to get out of here. I'm going to cut you guys loose, but everybody.
He muted us.
Hello?
Yeah, I think he muted himself by accident. Guys, we're going to cut this off tonight, and at some point, Scott will catch up with the conversation.
I did mute those guys. I screwed up and hit the wrong buttons. Anyway, thanks everybody for listening to us tonight. We appreciate it and all your input on definitions of a streetcar. Once again, congratulations to Andy Frost. Did an amazing job. Super cool seeing you guys in the 5-second club with a car that heavy and how hard you have to fight to get there. We just want you to know that there are those of us in the States who very much respect what you're doing and how hard it is to do. So thanks again, you guys. Everybody, peace out, and we'll talk to you next week.